Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to Morningsong. So, I'm Riley Baugus, and I hope you knew that coming into Morningsong, knowing that you were coming to hear Riley Baugus, and not just coming to hear somebody attempt to sing a song. I was just asked what's my favorite story to tell, and I like telling about getting to be part of the soundtrack for the film Cold Mountain. It's been 22 years now, and it seems like it was just yesterday in my head. So they make this film about the book Cold Mountain, and it's directed by Anthony Minghella. And Anthony Minghella we all met in the studio in Nashville to do the soundtrack. And Anthony, he was just the nicest guy. He passed away a few years ago, but he would love to hear this story if he could. But we would go in there and he'd say nice things to you, you know. That's how he could get the best work out of you that you had in you, because he'd say nice things to you. He'd look at me and say things like, "Oh, Riley, your face always looks as if you've just been for a wash." Well, thank you. And so we were getting ready to do the tune Cuckoo for the film. It was a pretty prominent scene where the young soldier is dying on the train, and he asked Stop Rod Hughes to play him a song that'll take him back to a sweet song that'll take him back home, you know, to the mountains of North Carolina. And Stop Rod says, "Well, I don't know no music like that. I just play some square dance tunes." So that's when Stop Rod discovers music in himself. So we were doing the Cuckoo, and Anthony comes over to me and he says, "Oh, Riley, now a bit of direction here. When you're singing, oh, the cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she warbles when she flies. And that bit right there, could you just say, coo, coo?" And it was at that specific moment that I was trying to determine how I was going to tell great film director Anthony Minghella no. And that's something I still think about, because we did it. And if you ever hear the soundtrack to the film Cold Mountain, and you're a cuckoo on there, that cuckoo's neat. And when I tell that story, I usually just play the cuckoo. Why don't I just play the cuckoo to start with? But you just got sort of the abridged story. There's a much longer story that goes with that. But that's sort of that's a summarized version of my favorite story to tell. But this is what we were getting ready to do. Oh, cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she warbles when she flies, and she never hops cuckoo till the 4th day of July. Jack Diamonds, where I know you from old. You robbed my poor pockets for my silver and my gold. Well, I played cards in old England, and I gambled over in Spain. I'm gonna bet you $10 I'm gonna beat you next game. My horses, they ain't hungry, and they won't eat your hay. So I'll ride on a little bit further. I will feed them on the way. Gonna build me a log cabin up on the mountain, so I can see my darling when she goes walking by. Oh, Cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she warbles when she flies. Cuckoo! But she never hollers cuckoo till the 4th day of July. So, yeah. And that's sort of a common old tune we have here in Appalachia. I'd heard it since I was a little kid, and Anthony was a musician himself, so he kind of had ideas of what he wanted to hear, and that whole coo coo thing was just sort of it was cute. So T-Bone Burnett produced the music for it, and T-Bone was standing there when Anthony asked me to go coo coo. And T-Bone looked at him and just went, "Nah, man. yeah, no, we're not going to do that." So we did a little more like what I just did, a sort of a frolicky kind of cuckoo, you know. But that was a lot of fun. That was a great experience for me, just being a feller from Walkertown, North Carolina, never having traveled very much and never been too many places, and to have the opportunity to work on a big motion picture like that, and it kind of, I was working as a welder and a blacksmith. That's what I did for 20 years, and still played music on the weekends, you know, and traveled around a little bit and played music with different groups and whatnot, but didn't really get to do it full time until the Cold Mountain Project came out. So you guys can thank Charles Frazier and Anthony Minghella for the fact that I get to go around and do this. I do. So, and Dirk Powell's the guy who got me involved in the project in the first place. I was working on a job site in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and it was back in the days of the analog cell phone. Pardon me. And I had my phone in the one place on the job site where I had one bar of signal. I mean, we're out in the middle of Elizabeth City is way on out yonder. You got to go somewhere to be nowhere when you get to Elizabeth City. Forgive me, Elizabeth City people, but it's a long way away from everything. But I was putting up hand railing at the Museum of the Albemarle in Elizabeth City, and Dirk Powell called me, and I ran to grab the phone, and I thought it was my boss checking in, you know. And turned out it was Dirk, and he says, "Hey man, I'm out here in L.A. with Anthony Minghella and T-Bone Burnett, and I told him how cool it would be to have some banjos made in this film, you know, about North Carolina, from North Carolina." And he said, "Could you send them one to look at?" And I did, and they contacted me and said, "We want 3 circa 1850." And I went, "Okay." I didn't know whether I could do it or not, but I did it. And then they called me in a couple of weeks more and said, well, we need somebody to be the singing voice for the character Pangle.
Wow.
Said, can you do it? I said, I bet I sure can. I didn't know whether I could do it or not. But we did. I sent them a CD to listen to, and they said, yep, that's exactly the voice we're looking for. So I got that was just a huge stroke of luck. There's in my opinion, you can be really, really good at what you do and never have that luck. You know, the luck is just as important as you know, putting in the time to build the quality of what you do. And thank goodness luck shined on me that day. Let's do one that's a little more gentle, one that comes from over and I'm going to do it a little more gently than what it often gets done. It's a fiddle tune called Fall on My Knees, but they always sing lyrics to it. And they tend to do it pretty fast. We're going to do it a little slow. It's morning. Let's keep things a little light for the morning. Fall on my knees. We'll switch instruments here just for a minute. I'm going to pick the guitar. growing up, you know, learning to play old-time music, I always kind of thought that you just learned and played songs that already existed. It's like, well, why would you make up stuff? There's so much stuff already out there. And not realizing that every tune that we play, somebody made it up. All the old-time music that we play, the traditional old-time music, it didn't just pop into the ether one day, you know. Somebody had the idea to play that tune, play those specific notes in that order or in some similar order, because there are rarely ever two versions of a fiddle tune that are the same. There's many ways to play a tune as there are people to play it. So I figured, you know, I kind of got it figured out to where I could tell stories. I could write some songs every now and then. And this is one I wrote here not too long ago. My mom and dad both passed away. My mom passed away when I was 14, and my dad when I was 21, so 7 years later. So I didn't get as much time with them as I would have liked to have had. My dad was from Allegheny County, and my mom was from Surrey County, and my dad had that sort of Celtic man temper, you know. He'd get mad at things for seemingly no reason. He had a reason, but nobody else knew what it was. But our family car was a 1964 Ford Galaxy 500. He didn't like the 2-barrel carburetor, so he switched it to a 4-barrel carburetor, so it'd go faster. And it was Rangoon red. It was great. What a great car. Whenever you had to stop suddenly, you could just fly around all inside that car, because the safety belt in the car for me, you know, the child protection seat, is this. You know, I only ever ended up in the floorboard like one time, you know, but that's okay. I survived. So he loved to drive fast, and my mom loved flowers. She loved her flower garden. So this is kind of before my dad passed away. He said something. He said, "Boy," he said, "it's not dying that worries me." He says, "It's being gone so long." I'm like, well, yeah, you know, there's something in that. And he just didn't want it to hurt. Just didn't want it to hurt. So you'll figure out what this is here in just a second. Never mind it being in this world all alone. Never feared the thought of dying, just the thought of being gone. And lay my body down for the last time in the dirt, and I leave this world, please don't let it hurt. A red 64 Ford, he flew down the road. You wouldn't believe how fast Daddy would go. In 67 he lost an eye in our factory town, but in time he healed up. He never slowed that Ford down. Sweet smells filled the air from the spring to the fall. Mama loved the flowers, she loved the roses most of all. The sweet flowers that bloomed the color of sunsets in the sky, they never bloomed again after my mother died. I never mind being in in this world all alone. Never feared the thought of dying, just the thought of being gone. When they lay my body down for the last time in the dirt, and I leave this world, please don't let it hurt. Well, see, Mama left us in the summer in her sleep. Daddy followed close behind. Pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I'm gonna sing this verse right in a minute. How to spoil a mood, huh? I only forget the songs I write, but that's not right. Oh yeah. Mama slipped away in the summer in her sleep. Daddy followed close behind to pray the Lord my soul to keep. Please watch my ragged bones and my animated dirt. If I should die before I wake, please don't let it hurt. I never minded being in this world all alone. Never feared the thought of dying, just the thought of being gone. They lay my body down for the last time in the dirt, and I leave this world, please don't let it hurt. There we go. It's better when you can remember them. I want to do I need this. I'm going to do an old song. I've explained in my banjo class a whole lot about. We talk a lot about singing and stuff too. But I kind of make my banjo classes more about. It's not just about banjo. We learn a lot about culture, because I always believe that if you understand the culture of the people whose music you're trying to play, you'll be a lot better at playing the music. And so we talk a lot about Blue Ridge Mountain and Appalachian, Southern Appalachian culture, and singing and church singing and things like that come into play. And I grew up in a church where they didn't have any musical instruments. The music was totally unaccompanied, a cappella. In fact, they would not. There was a feller who they asked to come and sing at church one time, and he came with his guitar, and they said, "Well, you can come in and sing, but you got to leave the guitar in the car." They wouldn't let him play the musical instrument in the church. It's just their belief, because they were a New Testament church, and they said it didn't say anywhere in the New Testament that you should praise God with musical instruments. So there you go. You can sing, but you couldn't play the guitar. So learned a lot of those songs growing up. Singing them in church, and it was great. There was no harmony. I never learned to be a very good harmony singer, because the idea of harmony in church was the older men sang real low, but they sang the melody. And then the other men would sing the melody a little higher. And then you had the women who'd sing the same melody just a little bit higher. And then you had the old women who said that they were singing the high harmony, the soprano, but they were just singing the melody almost in falsetto. So it was all one note. So harmony was just four octaves of the same note, for me. But they would sing these songs, and we recycle melodies. So you might sing 20 different songs to the same tune, And one of the tunes that gets recycled a lot is one that you hear in the Sacred Heart book the song is called Idumea. I believe it's 47 on the bottom for those of you who are shape note singers. But then, so a lot of the songs will have the melody to Idumea with slight changes. And usually in the Blue Ridge we don't say Idumea, we say Idumea, because that's what it looks like. It's Idumea. Idumea. But this song is one that Tommy Gerald used to do. He played it on the fiddle and he would sing it. He was a primitive Baptist, which is a whole lot like the regular Baptist that I was. You had regular Baptists and primitive Baptists broke down into hard shell and soft shell. And you got the old regular Baptists, which is different altogether. And then you had the free will Baptist, which I always kind of thought was an oxymoron. But the one thing that those churches all have in common is they sing unaccompanied. So I'm going to play this song on the banjo and sing it for you. How about that? When sorrows encompass me round. How about if we sing a ballad about near cannibalism on the high seas? So I learned this song from Jenny Hawker, a great friend, wonderful singer, love her to death. She's from West Virginia. She grew up in in a primitive Baptist church where they used the Benjamin Lloyd hymnal. See, all these churches use different kinds of songbooks, and in certain primitive Baptist churches they use Gobel's little book, and in some primitive Baptist churches they use Benjamin Lloyd's, and they all have a lot of the same songs, but they all have different songs. But anyway, living in West Virginia and being from West Virginia, Jenny had a lot of access to not only the primitive Baptist songs, but to a lot of the old ballads. And she got to spend some time with Maggie Hammonds. And Maggie was a wonderful little lady from the Hammonds family. They were sort of one of the source families who provided us with lots of material to learn and pass on, you know. And it was a great Smithsonian Folkways recording of the Hammonds family, and it's entitled "The Hammonds Family." So there you go. But this is one that she learned from her. It's called "The Silk Merchant's Daughter." This girl falls in love with this sailor and decides that she can't bear to see him sail away, so she stows away on the ship. And difficulties ensue. As I walk down 4th Street, a jolly young sailor I changed for to see. And I said, "Brother sailor, oh, where are you bound?" "I'm bound for New London or some other rich town." Our ship being rigged and ready to sail, we drew up our anchor, we drew up our sails. For 6 months we sailed, all hearts were content, till the ship sprang a leak, to the bottom it sank. 44 of us sailors got in a lifeboat, way out on the ocean, all alone there did float. Provisions grew scarce, and death it drew nigh. We each drew our number for to see which would die. Well, these names being written and put in a hat, we each drew our number, yes, we each drew our lot. And amongst all them sailors, this young damsel drew less. She was to be killed by the one she loved best. Before I would kill you, my heart it would burst. Before I would kill you, my love, I'd die first. "Oh, stop," said the captain, "hold on now, you men. Not but very few people who would die for a friend. But their knives being sharpened, there's murdering to do. When stop," said this lady, "for a moment or two." "Oh, stop," said the lady, "hold on to your tongues, for I hear ship a-comin' by her loud roaring guns." In the space of a moment, they all looked again. They saw a ship a-comin' for to take them all in. Straightways to New London this ship was conveyed. Straightways to get married went this young man and maid. There you go. Near cannibalism on the high seas. Well, it's already past time, but I'm gonna do one more. If y'all don't care, y'all want to hear one more song, and then we're done. So I got interested in this singer and songwriter from Austin, Texas, whose name was Blaze Foley. And old Blaze, he lived hard, and he died the same way. He died trying to protect an old man who was a friend of his, and the old man's son shot him and killed him. And he was a really good songwriter. And I've recently made a new friend who lived in Austin at the time, and Blaze Foley and Townes Van Zandt would hang out together a whole lot. And they would come over to my friend Elliot's house and crash at his house. So he's got lots of Blaze Foley stories. But one of my favorite Blaze songs is a song he did called "Cold, Cold World." I tried for a long time, but I think I can't win. I could do it all better if I could do it again. Wherever I'm going, it's the same place I've been. Now ain't it cold, cold world? Now I can't get no job and I can't get no rest. I started out east, but I ended up west. I'm so glad to be here, I'm sure I would guess. And ain't it cold, cold world? Well, an old lady asked me about the new daylight time. She said it don't matter, and I said it don't mind. Then the bus driver said, you still owe me a dime. Well, ain't it cold, cold world? Well, I might have to leave you, I think's what she said. I wish I could sleep instead of tossing in bed. It's got me to thinking I'd be better off dead. Well, ain't it cold, cold world? Well, ain't it cold, cold world? Thank y'all for coming out this evening. Everybody have a great day at class today. It's our last day for this week, and it's going to be a spectacular one, I'll guarantee you. Go and get those projects done.